The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. Here we go.
Hi.
This is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. Look what I have. Ooh, my pendulum. Where's yours?
What kind of stone do you have on that?
This is actually, I don't know. Oh,
I
that's
knew she
not
was going
too
to say,
bad.
I have no idea.
No, it's supposed to represent the different chakras.
Okay.
See how it's sort of rainbow colored? It's got all the colors of the chakras.
So is it various stones together? Is that what it is, or what?
Yeah, it's really cool. It came with this beautiful set of crystals that I got. And it's sort of, they call it a travel one. And it's got this with a little necklace that you can put your crystals inside to have around your neck. It's like really cool. And I got it, of course, on Amazon. And it's beautiful.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Damon's already with us. Renee's checking in already.
Betsy, Renee, Damon, hi guys.
Thanks
I'm glad
for being
you're here
tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
On a Woo Woo Wednesday, and it's going to be interesting because there is going to be more deering on this podcast than ever before.
That's true.
My sister's going to be on tonight. We're going to be talking pendulums. And Reiki.
And Reiki, which I'm excited about as well.
And past lives, which is something that I wasn't sure how involved we get into it tonight. We'll have to see. That may have to be another whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would love to do a whole episode on past lives. And we will be.
Yeah, I think we
will be eventually.
That's right. What's the date on that?
October 20th.
Right.
Yes, we'll have a special guest. And actually, Vicki knows her, and Vicki will tell us all about her. And she'll be joining us. She does, is it past life? Regressions. I always want to say transgressions, and I know that's not it. It's regressions. So that should be super interesting.
Gina will be with us on October 20th. We'll talk more about that at the end of this podcast when we kind of talk about past lives. But here's the thing about growing up with Vicki. So I had two sisters growing up, okay? There was Dawn. She's the eldest of the family.
Right.
And we never got, Dawn was horrible to us. Dawn beat us with spoons and stuff.
No,
and she didn't.
Sure,
but there was a time, and I tell this story all the time, but it's a true story. So I was a sweet young guy, and just this little kid. I couldn't have been sweeter. Never did anything wrong, and all you got to do is ask my mom. That is definitely the case there. And at any rate, so one day it started storming out. We were outside playing because that's what good families do, right? Wait a minute, Dawn's on.
I watched her come on, by the way, and I knew you were inserting your foot in your mouth.
So I'm not. This is a true story, and Vicki will back me up. We were standing outside, and it started raining, storming, and I started to cry a little bit because I was this young, nice person, and she slapped me really hard, and so then I really started crying, and then she hugged me, and it was this really nice, like brother-sister moment where she's like, oh, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. And then she says to me, now shut up before mom hears you.
I love it.
In a nutshell, if you want to know who my sister Dawn is, that's who Dawn is.
That's a great story.
I think like growing up for me, once Dawn moved out of the house and things kind of got normal for us, Vicki was like my best friend.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, we did a lot of stuff together. We hung out a lot. I have to say, she probably hung out more with her brother than she's supposed to hang out with her brother. But we did think we would sit and listen to Casey's Top 40 every Sunday night on American Top 40, and we'd play Boggle and stuff like that. And then there was an Elvis impersonator we'd go see every weekend.
That was the St. Nazian story that you mentioned before.
That's right.
Yep.
Vicki was the one who was with me on that.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, she was probably my best friend growing up. at least at that point in my life. And then she went off and got married, and then it all went to hell after that.
So it's going to be, first of all, I'm really, really excited to have not only Vicki on, who I adore, and again, got to meet. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Oh, yeah, we got to get to that.
Yeah. But then your cousin Tammy is with us tonight. She's going to be a panelist with us, who I adore and got to meet a couple weeks ago now. I can't believe it's been like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and so I'm just so excited to have them on the show with us this week. Two really, really wonderful women.
Yeah. Tammy's really laid back. Tammy is Tammy, and her daughter's with her tonight. So you'll see her and say hi to her. And Vicki is
nervous.
She's a little nervous. So we got to get her loosened up. I thought maybe we'd slip her a little something before the broadcast.
What do they call it? Slipper a Mickey?
I don't think I want to do that. But yeah, it's going to be fun. So tonight we're going to talk about pendulums. But first, I want to bring out everybody on the show tonight. First off, let me introduce Tammy Frederick, my cousin. I've known her a long, long, long time. We didn't really speak for many years because, of course, families grow apart.
Right.
And then we kind of met up one day at a park on like the 4th of July or something. It was really weird. But we ran into one another. And so she's back in my life, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Say hello to Tammy.
Yay! Hi, guys.
Hey. And Sarah.
And Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
I feel bad because Sarah's going to learn all the secrets of the family, Tammy.
I know.
She kind of is. I know. She might see the real me. Finally. Too late for her, but
The mask is being torn away tonight.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah. It will all make sense to her after this.
Sarah, no. Trust me, there's a lot more stories I have to tell you. You just get a hold of me and we will get it all taken care of. All right. So let's bring out my sister now. She's got her own business in it right now, and we'll talk about that as well. Her life has really changed in the last year. My sister, Vicki Hackbarth. There she is.
Hi, Vicki.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey, Vicki.
Thank you so much.
Everything you said about Dawn is absolutely true.
See, I told you. Here's the thing. Dawn, our family is wonderful. Like the three of us, if we could be joined at the hip, if we didn't kill one another at one point, I think we'd love it.
Mm-hmm.
I wish she was closer because we really do love one another. And we're also far, we're not far. Vicki and I are not far apart, but Dawn is. And so we don't get to see each other all the time. But when we do, it's a hell of a good time. So we're going to talk about a get together that we had Saturday night. So if you missed last week's podcast, you missed the fact that
really hear her saying that too. I really can.
Whatever. That's all she knows how to say.
So what's really funny, I just have to interject when it was just you and Sandy and we were in the background and you were talking about your story, the rainstorm story. I said to Sarah, I really think that probably happened. That sounds just like something Dawn would say and do.
It's exactly Dawn. She was very over dominating the whole thing. So even today, I'm kind of scared of her. So I'm just going to behave myself now.
And I say that with lots of love, Dawn. But it did sound like you.
And I think Dawn's life has changed a little bit. Careful. I think Dawn's life has changed a little bit too in the last year, as far as kind of getting in touch with this side of her as well. I think Vicki's taken it to the next level in our family. And again, we're going to talk about all about that. Right. Saturday night last week, Sandy comes to visit, right?
Yay. That was fun.
And we all get together. I'll get my broom and spank some ass.
Oh, promises, Dawn.
So we're all out last Saturday night, and everybody got to meet everybody, and it was a lot of fun and all that good stuff. Everybody, Tammy, said to me that it was like they knew you their entire life. Like talking to you was just so easy that.
It's true.
Everybody said that. I said, she reminds me, she's the kind of person you see and you just know that you can strike up a conversation because whether you know it or not, your energy is very open to everyone.
Yeah, I do know that.
Yeah.
My husband, Dave, said to me that night after we all left the second place that we went to, what was that called? The Fifth Ward, I think.
Yeah.
Brewing Company. And he said, you know, you and Tammy, you were just like this. He says she came over to you and you went to her like you two had known each other forever. I said, yeah, she just has that effect on everybody. And so it was really, really nice.
That makes my heart so warm, really. Like, I have just the warm fuzzies. Thank you, everyone, for that. That is so sweet. Someone once called me frighteningly wonderful, and I want to put that on my resume and my biography. Like,
wonderful,
frighteningly wonderful. I feel like that sums me up pretty good.
What were you going to say, Vicki?
She was our missing fire sign. So we have groups that we've been, earth, air, water. We've been missing a fire. Yeah. And with her at the table that night, we were able to manifest things that happened almost immediately that night because she was there. She's very powerful.
Cool. Yeah. I guess I don't even know. Now I want to know what we manifested, because maybe I'm not even sure. Maybe it happened and I didn't.
You may want to get caught up on that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Tammy and I, and here's the other thing, when we talk about like gifts and woo-woo stuff and all that, it's a very personal experience for each person. Each person has a different experience with it. And so what works for one person may not work for another. And where one person is at level-wise in their understanding and their abilities is different from somebody else.
Right.
And so when we come on here and we talk about things, we are with the understanding that my thought process is different from Sandy's, is different from Vicki's, is different from Tammy's. Not that anybody's wrong or right.
Right.
It's just a different experience. Everybody's life is a little bit different.
Imagine if everything was exactly the same. No one would ever have their own personal experiences or evolve in their own lifetime.
Right.
We would all just be exactly the same. And so there's a certain beauty in everyone being different and having different paths and going down those paths in different ways. And I think it's just beautiful.
I think it's also really a lot like just the way we receive information, just generally, right? Not even woo-woo stuff, but I might need to learn by reading, and someone else might need to learn by listening. Someone else might need to learn by doing. Everybody receives information and processes that different. And I don't think it's any different on the woo-woo side of it either.
Right.
Right.
Well, Vicki, it's time to put you on the spot a little bit. I'd love for you to kind of share your story of how you got from where you were a year ago, and your belief system and who you were as a human to where you are now, that transformation, if you can share that with us.
So about a year ago, our father, as you know, had an accident, and being his power of attorney, we rapidly had to find care for him. He has dementia, and the overwhelming sense of responsibility of those tasks, those power of attorney tasks, took me to a really dark place. And it was a nurse of a doctor that I was seeing who suggested I explore Reiki. And when I left that building, I drove to my next errand, and I sat in the parking lot and I booked that appointment. I don't know what made me book that appointment, but I did. And my very first Reiki session, I had chakras. You have 7 chakras in your body, and I had 2 that were completely dark. And she said to me after my session, she said, the word that I just got over and over was overwhelmed. And I said, that is the word I say to my siblings all the time. It's so overwhelming. You know, not just finding care for Dad, but then cleaning out his estate, selling his house. I mean, what do you do with the money? There were so many things that needed my hands doing. I had to, and then it's insurance time and dealing with the insurance companies. It was a lot. And then through Reiki, one of my very first sessions, she said to me, your future is really bright. I felt the exact opposite of that. And something in those words made me keep going back, and not just keep going back, but wanting to learn. I'm always reading now. I hadn't picked up a book for decades. I I'm embarrassed to even say that. There was nothing that really interested me. Now I can't get enough information. I'm interested in all of it. This podcast has done a lot, not just teaching me, but giving me a community. The one thing that I have understood is we are not meant to do this by ourselves. We each have our own path, but when we come together, like we did, Sandy, when you were here,
Yeah.
when we came together as a group, that night, many of us were putting in individual puzzle pieces into our puzzle because we were problem solving as a group.
Right.
We're meant to problem solve as a group. We're meant to have these roundtable discussions. I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of questions, but maybe someone in the community does know that answer.
Right.
That's why the podcast is so important. It's taught me so many things. I hope it's taught all of our viewers a lot of things.
Asha says, Vicki, thanks for sharing the story. I won't go into my account, but I can relate. And she's got a couple of hearts on that.
Yeah. And there's so many that can relate to that story. I know Jason's mom and I, just a few months ago, had a very similar conversation. She's also power of attorney for her dad who has dementia. It's a lot. I'll just say that. It's a lot.
I just found out it sounds like they're going to be roommates or buddies at that location, by the way. So, yeah, her dad's going to be joining our dad. So,
that's great.
Yeah. So you went back, you felt a sense of empowerment by going to the Reiki session, learning all that kind of stuff. As I mentioned, everybody's kind of got their own story. What do you say to somebody who's sitting there going, I'm at my worst right now. I'm feeling vulnerable. I'm feeling dark. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling unhappy. What can you say about what Reiki can do for someone like that?
So first of all, a lot of that is caused with an imbalance in your chakra system. So just know that what you're going through is very common. And with a balanced chakra system, you can reverse that. You can heal. It's possible. I say book your first appointment and try it. You've got nothing to lose. When you're that low, what do you have to lose?
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, it was an easy decision.
And it took you even beyond just going and having Reiki sessions for yourself. You actually became a master Reiki teacher. Yeah.
Practitioner. Yep. If I wanted to become a teacher, I would need another class. So
Is that something you might do?
I don't like talking in front of people, so I don't see that happening.
But you're very good. You're very good one-on-one. And I just think back to even Saturday night. And I think if you're able to teach and share one-on-one, you're going to be fantastic.
And maybe if it's in the cards, I never thought I would become a Reiki master. That was never a goal. But as I was healing myself, my goal was to be able to heal my family.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone in my family, that's the whole reason I became a Reiki master. Now, why did I decide to open my own business? I'll tell you why. A friend of the podcast, our good friend Victoria from Mystic Karma by Victoria.
Yep.
I had a tarot card reading with her, and one of my tarot card readings, the entire tarot card reading was about opening my own business.
Mm-hmm.
You know Victoria. We all know her from the podcast. You listen.
Yeah.
When she talks, you listen.
Yep.
And so that's that was 2 months ago. In 2 months, I've now opened my own business. So
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations, Vicki. That's wonderful.
Chakra Awakening LLC, by the way, it's on Facebook. You can find it. It's /Chakra Awakening LLC, all one word. If you want to search for it on Facebook, that's how you get there.
One really quick. I just want to tell a really quick story. I had my first ever Reiki session almost a year ago. It was I think it was November, right, Todd? Because I was going through some female problems at the time. Didn't tell. The only people who knew were Dave, Todd, and my mom. And
thank you, by the way, for including
you're
me in that
welcome.
little
You're
group.
welcome.
That was very,
You're
very
welcome.
kind of you.
Anytime. But I will say this: he was there with me almost every step of the way. Not physically, obviously, but Todd was there with me, and I so appreciate that. And but I went to my first Reiki session ever, and afterwards, I just felt such an incredible sense of relief. And I remember when we were going downstairs and one of the Reiki people was walking me out, and she said, I could feel that you have issues in this section of your body.
Oh,
and
I thought she was just saying you have issues. I'm like, oh,
I knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah. I can see that from over here.
In this section of your body. And she called it perfectly. And it was sort of a mini awakening for me that it wasn't just people doing, but they really could almost get inside you when they were doing Reiki.
Yeah.
And I remember driving home, and I was crying. I was sending him messages, and I was crying the tears, not sad tears, not pain tears, but just tears of this. All of this emotion just was flooding out of me.
Yeah.
And it was the most incredible experience, and I'll never forget it. And I truly believe, now I know Dave does Reiki, but I've never experienced it quite like that session. It was just fantastic. And I highly recommend Reiki for anyone who feels like they need something like that. It's just so amazing.
Tammy, have you had Reiki before?
I have, yeah.
So am I the only one in the group that hasn't had it?
Yes. And I've offered. What is wrong with you?
But it's and it's kind of like going to the doctor, and then you go to the doctor and they're like, well, you're going to have to take your clothes off and put on one of those gowns. And you're like, and they're like, well, you have to,
You don't have to get naked.
You don't have to.
I realize that's not the point. I mean, it's a metaphor for what I'm trying to say. I'm not afraid of having to get undressed next to my sister.
I know what you're saying.
Feel too vulnerable.
Well, that's the thing. I don't like that. I don't like that.
You do. You have to open yourself up to it, and you do make yourself vulnerable. And I was nervous about that, but it's not what you think it is. It's just an incredible experience.
In the simplest form, Vicki, I mean, what is Reiki? What are you doing when you are a practitioner with somebody? What's going on there?
So Reiki stands for universal life force and universal life energy. And Reiki is a Japanese form of energy healing where the energy is transferred from the practitioner to the patient through the palms of your hands.
Okay. So it's pretty much that simple. Do you have to, if you're looking to have Reiki done, obviously it's something you want to research a bit. I would think that it's not something you want just anybody to perform. Is there a match of energies that needs to be there, or what?
And I wouldn't say that necessarily, but I would say that each Reiki practitioner has different gifts. So just as all four of us in this, podcast, we all have different gifts.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with your Reiki practitioners. For example, I myself, I see past lives. And so I'm able, when I'm doing Reiki, I see that person's past lives. And that's something that I can heal after the Reiki session. Not everybody can do that. My Reiki master teacher, she does not see past lives. So each Reiki master has different abilities, different gifts. And so depending upon what you're interested in, it might be something that you investigate that way.
Vicki, Sarah has a question. She says, do you ever use essential oils or crystals with Reiki, or just your hands?
I use crystals and pendulums. I'm looking into using oils, but I always use the crystals and pendulum. So crystals can be used to pull energy from a body. If you have a patient who has pain in a particular area, you can pull energy using crystals that way. You can set grids up, crystal grids on the floor to help direct energy. I always have different chakra stones underneath the Reiki bed. And then my pendulum, because I'm such a fan of the pendulum, I use a pendulum before, during, and after the session to make sure I understand exactly which chakras need extra attention, to make sure at the end of the session that each chakra is aligned and balanced, so that I'm not closing the session without addressing all the issues.
Really quickly, Damon asks if you practice therapeutic touch. I don't believe you do, right?
Nope.
Kathy has a great question. We're getting a ton of questions tonight, which is awesome. She says, what's the best way to find a master?
I would look around. Facebook, you can Google, ask friends. I right now am working out of Triple Moon Healing, and in Triple Moon Healing, there are at least 4 other Reiki masters. Soon, Victoria will be coming to Triple Moon Healing to do her tarot card reading. So it's kind of a one-stop shop here in Fond du Lac. Just research your town that you're living in. Ask your friends, ask your coworkers. You may find people who have already seen a Reiki master and may be able to recommend one for you.
I just want to mention again, Chakra Awakening LLC is the Facebook page. If you get a chance, like it and share it with friends, so you can all kind of share information. And that's what I do like about our community and our offshoots of community. Victoria's page, I'm hoping, Vicki, your page gets this way. We're all sharing information, and we can all feel like we don't have to worry about asking the questions that everybody's going to laugh at, you know?
Right. Vicki, just a quick question. You see previous lives, past lives. What was it like for you the first time when you realized that this was your gift? What was that like for you?
Thanks for asking that question, because it was really difficult. I would talk to Todd and Dawn about this, saying, I see movies. And it's not, the way I describe it is, imagine you go to a theater and there's the big screen. There's no sound. They're not playing one movie, but they're playing 3 movies at the same time. And now you're trying to decipher those images because they're laying multiple images on top of each other. And it's not just happening here. It's happening here, 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 here. So wherever I'm focusing, I'm seeing that, but I'm missing everything else around it.
Gotcha.
And so in my tarot card reading with Victoria, I realized her and I see it exactly the same way. She doesn't necessarily see past lives, but it's like a reel-to-reel movie that's going, tick, 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 and that's how fast the images are coming at me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it wasn't until I kept seeing a particular image that I was talking to my Reiki master saying, okay, this isn't a spirit guide. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. What are they showing me? And she goes, oh, it's an ancestor. And so I came home and I asked my pendulum, is that what I'm seeing, my ancestors? And it said yes.
Wow.
And so I made a commitment to all these faces that I see that I don't recognize, that I would find them. I didn't know how, but I was going to figure out a way to help heal them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's sort of how I started working with Gina Koch, who she describes herself as a multidimensional spirit communicator, energy healer, earth healer, and animal communicator. Mm. And so working with her, I've been able to heal some of these past lives. And in doing so, these movies aren't as frantic. They're not as chaotic, because when I clear them and they become healed, I don't see those images anymore.
Right.
I see the next. And the reason why they're showing me them is they need to be healed.
Right.
There's something in that past life that needs to be healed. So it goes back to the, what you don't heal, you repeat. What you don't repair, you repeat.
Well, and that's in life in general. I mean, if you think about it, that is life. If you don't learn your lesson the first time you
Right.
touch a hot stove, it's going to happen again.
Right.
We're getting some good questions here, Vicki. EJ asks if you might need more than one session. I would say yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was going every 2 weeks for a while and then could back that off. And then the more I became, taking those Reiki classes, you get an attunement when you take a Reiki class. When you become a Reiki 1, a Reiki 2, a Reiki 3, you get an attunement with each one of those. And those attunements started allowing me to help heal myself.
Which you were in desperate need of.
Mm-hmm.
Desperate. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Desperate.
Vicki is, I love her no more, no less than a year ago, but the difference in who she is incredible. Where she would typically see all the dark negative in life.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just the opposite. Now I want to reach out and slap her like Dawn slapped me and say, just look at it from the bad side, just once for me, please. Another great question is from Kathy, and this is the question that I come up with. And she said, trust is a big issue. How will I know if I'm in good hands? Are there some questions I should ask of that Reiki person? Or does that go back to like what you were saying about ask around and kind of get your information that way?
Yeah, ask around. I mean, part of my Reiki master class was about ethics. Making sure that you are treating that person well while you are there. You're ethically doing what you are committing to doing. Like you are spending that time wisely, making sure that you are committed to their improvement. The nice thing about Reiki is that it is intelligent enough to go to the parts of your body that need it the most. It doesn't require a Reiki practitioner to direct it to a particular area. So for me, I have a lot of problems with my right hip. And it's no coincidence that the chakras I have issues with are my sacral and my solar plexus, right in that hip area. And so when I receive Reiki, I feel like someone puts a weighted blanket right on that hip, or a brick is actually sitting on my hip. It feels so good. But when I open my eyes, nobody's there. That is the Reiki going to the area that it needs in my body the most. And it will feel like that for hours after a Reiki session.
Would you like correspond it with like going to see a chiropractor where it's an alignment? And again, like you said, maybe you go every week or every other week, and then it kind of slowly tapers off once things get back into adjustment.
Yes. And it's very much that Eastern medicine kind of mindset, which I have been on an Eastern medicine road for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. I'm actually seeing a nutrition response testing doctor right now for just weird things that happen in my body. But I do believe a lot of this is caused from chakras not being aligned. Mm-hmm. So for example, I break out in a rash if I eat any orange colored food. So carrot, sweet potato, squash. It's no coincidence that the sacral chakra is the color orange. Mm-hmm. It's all related.
I was going to laugh because the whole rash thing. I mean, you and I are so much alike like that. I can look at a piece of bread and all of a sudden I've got this big spot on my forehead. You know, my eye will like just totally bulge out of its socket. So Gina Kalk is going to be on with us on October 20th.
Yes.
I need to talk to her, but I think it'd be kind of nice if you were on that particular episode too, to kind of talk, since you guys are connected in that way.
Yeah, that would be great.
Would you be okay with that? We'll talk with Gina, but could you do it? You're doing fine.
You're doing great.
I love how I knew you were going to do this, Todd. I just knew it. I knew you were going to do this to me.
Yes.
She actually swore at him before we got.
Yes, I did.
She used the F word. So I've got one sister who verbally abuses me and the other sister physically abuses me. Look at who I am. I'm broken.
I will say if there's any episode I would be more inclined to doing that with, it would be hers, because I can't say enough good things about her. I want to know more about her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
She
me
is
too.
very gifted, very talented. I think she could be a great teacher for me.
And then I think in turn, and I'm just going to say it, I think you'll be a great teacher for other people.
Yeah.
You've gotten a lot of people interested tonight about what we're talking about. Let's talk about these little things. Vicki lives by this. So what should we have for dinner? Well, the pendulum says asparagus. Okay. Should I change my underwear today? It says no. You know, I mean, she does use it a lot. Now, she bought me mine, and I've tried to use it. Not a ton, but I've tried, and mine just does not budge. And I'll be the first person to admit that I need more cheese in my life. Thanks, Damon. I appreciate that. It's probably the reason why I'm not going to the bathroom. But let's talk about these for a little bit. What basically, Vicki, is a pendulum? What is it?
You know, I think a pendulum is a tool that can be used to give you answers that you already know. You already know the answers.
Affirmation, affirm some of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You already know the answers. So it's not a joke that I use mine a lot. I use mine when I come out of meditation every day. When I'm in meditation, I write down all these images that I see. I come out of meditation and I have to group together different past lives. Is this a symbol or is it part of a past life? So I have to group things together. I use my pendulum to do that. On another note, if I forget if I've taken my vitamins on a day, I'll ask my pendulum, did I take my vitamins? Yes or no? And it will tell me if I have or not.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken it to a store and said, does my body need this supplement? Does my body, need this, or it will tell me the answer. I mean, I don't typically do that a lot, but I have done that. I've sat
Listen, there are reports in your town of a woman going around the store like this in front of like a Tylenol.
And you know what? I don't care. I don't care what people think.
She's in the produce department figuring out which apples to get.
Well, not quite like that, but yes, I've taken it to a store.
Why do you think it works for some people and not for others?
Yeah.
Is it the choice of pendulum? Is it the person's energy themselves? Am I not free flowing enough with my energy for it to work for me? And again, this is your speculation, but what do you think?
I think you can be too closed off, but I think also you should go to a store and test out a few. It could be the stone, just not compatible with you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started using this, I didn't trust myself. I didn't think I could. And so I would be shouting at this thing in my head and I couldn't get it to move.
Yeah.
And the more I started to believe in myself, now I pick it up and it just automatically starts going.
That transpires into other parts of what we talk about on this podcast.
Yeah.
Sandy deals with the same thing where she's getting messages and stuff and she's constantly questioning herself. But the minute she says, okay, I'm just going to take in what I take in and see what happens, then all of a sudden she gets all this information that's spot on.
It's crazy. We were just talking about it this morning,
right?
Todd and I, about it because we did an investigation in August and I had all of these visions. I usually get visions before I do an investigation because I think I'm a little more in tune the closer that I get to the location. I don't usually know much about it, but I tend to get my visions a week or so before. And I usually get them in the morning when I first wake up. And I got these visions. And because I'm just starting to really learn how to handle everything, I do second guess myself sometimes. And lo and behold, not to pat myself on the back, but I'm usually right. And so I have a really quick story. Todd makes fun of me because I found the geocache.
Consistently about everything.
Yeah. Geocache in the cemetery a couple of months ago. And I called him crying and everything because I thought it was some kind of evil hex. But I came back to camp and I used the pendulum. And I asked if it was something negative in the cemetery. And it literally kept going to no. And at first you think, okay, maybe I'm just imagining it. Maybe it really is evil and but I truly believe, because every time I would ask the pendulum questions about it, it would tell me basically not to worry. And as it turned out, I had absolutely nothing to worry about. So
Lisa says it picks you a lot like the wands in Harry Potter pick you, which is probably very true.
Mm-hmm.
Damon says what they do is they pick 3 and then the right one of the 3 will choose you.
Yep.
And then Kathy, who's been very involved tonight. Thank you, Kathy, by the way. She says, I'm new to all this. What do you use as a pendulum? So I think that's a great question to start things off. What can you use as a pendulum? Vicki, what do you typically use, or what do you typically think of as a pendulum?
So really, it's anything that's on a chain with a stone or, something that can move. It's got to be free moving. So I know Tammy tonight, she actually bought a necklace that she's using as a pendulum. She texted me yesterday from the crystal shop she was shopping at and said none of the pendulums really spoke to her, but the necklaces could they work? And so I asked her to do a test on it. And I kind of walked her through how to test whether or not that would work as a pendulum for her. And it did. So that's what she is using and what she purchased. For me, we were given one in our Reiki 1 class. We were told, go out to the shop and pick out a pendulum. And I was the first one looking at the pendulums, and there were beautiful ones. One similar to the one that you purchased, Sandy, and there were other ones I was drawn to, but something in the back of my mind told me the clear quartz was the one for me. And so I let everybody else in class pick their pendulum, knowing that whatever one was supposed to be mine would still be left. And lo and behold, the clear quartz was there. Clear quartz has become my favorite stone. It's my favorite crystal.
So you know that I kind of have, I like things that have memories attached. If I wanted to use something of Mom's, let's say a rosary, or I wanted to use like a pocket watch of Dad's or something like that, could I do that? Would that work for me?
Yes. Yep.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So we're getting a ton of questions in. Sarah says both of hers were presents given as a gift. And Ed asks, how do you use a pendulum? So let's get to that, because that's really what we're getting to here. So Vicki, why don't you take us through the steps of using one? Once you found one, once you know that it's working for you, how do you actually use it to help you make decisions or reaffirm what you already know is true?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll start with some guidelines. You always want to start with a question that you know the answer to benchmark it. And you always want to use that same question every single time. So
like if I say, is Sandy crazy? This thing should just go like nuts, right?
I love you too.
You have to be careful with the question that you ask, because in my Reiki class, the question we used was, am I a girl? But I've had other past lives. And in those past lives, I've been male and female. So my pendulum would not move with that question. The question I always use to benchmark is Jupiter a planet? That's my benchmarking question. Every single time I pick up this pendulum, I will benchmark my yes with that question. You can choose something different. You can choose, show me a yes. And it should move in the direction of your yes. So if I pick up my pendulum, I always pick up from the very top. This is how I hold my pendulum. Some people hold theirs between the fingers like this. It's whatever you get comfortable with. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. But once you become familiar with it and you have success with it, that's how you pick it up. And me, if it's laying down, I just pick it up. The next thing you want to do, you always want to pick up with your dominant hand, put your non-dominant hand underneath it. So it's getting energy from your other palm. And if you ask your question, see how mine's starting to move?
Which question did you ask it, or did you not yet?
That was my benchmark question. So is Jupiter a planet? It may go in a circle. Your yes may go right, and your nose then will go left. Sometimes your nose will go back and forth. Everybody's going to be different. In the beginning, when I used to pick this up, my yeses would go different ways. Every time I pick this up, it might go. Now it's consistently, it will go to the right. A yes circle to the right is my benchmark. There. That's my yes.
So what happens if you get a no? What if you get a no? Nothing?
So see how it's going the opposite direction now? That's my no.
Tammy, did you try it? Did you try it?
Yeah, I did.
What happened?
When I was in the store, this was hanging up on almost like a pot rack kind of looking thing with, I don't know, 100 or more different necklaces. But as soon as I saw this one, I thought, I think that's the one. And so I put my hand under it. It was still hanging on the pot rack, and it was moving, but they all were moving because the guy was hanging stuff on it, and there were some fans in there. I was like, I don't know. Now I feel like Todd. I think this might be crap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know. So then I took it down. So I was like, no, Vicki wouldn't say that this is a good idea if it wasn't. So I took it down and I said, show me a yes. And it went like this. So as you were talking, I don't know if you noticed, but it was doing that because and I didn't say it out loud. I just said it in my head, show me a yes. And it went. And then I said, stop. And it stopped. And then I said,
say it out loud.
Show me a no. Right. In my head. I didn't say it out loud.
Yep.
And then I said, show me a no. And it started going the other way, this way. So for me, it goes this way for yes and this way for no.
And Vicki, can you pick what you want? So for example, if I wanted no to be back and forth and yes to be a circle, could I set the intention at the beginning and do it that way?
Yes, I have done that because for me, I want it to be consistent. So some days my nose will go back and forth, but I want it to go to the left. I will say, please show me my nose in a left circle. Okay. And it does.
Very good.
So things to be cautioned of is never ask a question that starts with, does my dad, does my brother? Remember that you've had past lives. So you want to use names. Does Todd, I always use the full name. Does Todd Deering, blah, blah, blah.
What are you trying to find out about me? Now I'm kind of worried about that. See, that's what I'm talking about here. That's why there'll be no Reiki session. She'll be digging around in my stuff, be like,
Yep, I know, you're afraid. I know.
Mm-hmm.
So be cautioned against that. Also, think events in the future. So there's always free will. We're making choices throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to change a response of an event that may happen in the future. So just be careful and mindful of things like that. But otherwise, I mean, when I first got my pendulum, I spent days asking questions. But how I drilled into some of my past lives is by using a pendulum. In my Reiki 1 class, we were told that if there is something that you have in your life that you feel strongly about, it's usually an indication of a past life. So if you are drawn to lighthouses, but you don't know why, or you're afraid of water, but nothing's ever happened to you, it's usually an indication that of something that's happened to you in the past. Mm-hmm. So I am fascinated by Frank Lloyd Wright. When I am in his architecture homes, I feel like the house is hugging me. I never want to leave. I feel balanced. I feel calm. Why? I don't know. That there's nothing in this lifetime that would give me an indication of why I would feel that way. So I started using my pendulum to drill into, do I have a past life involving Frank Lloyd Wright? Mm-hmm. So I started asking questions. Did I work for Frank Lloyd Wright? No. Was I one of his apprentices? No. Did I build one of his homes? No. Did I live in one of his homes? Yes. Mm. Was that home in Wisconsin? No. Mm. Was that home in the Midwest? Yes. Was that home in Minnesota? And started going through the states until I got a yes on Indiana. So then I pulled up his homes in Indiana and I started going through the list. Was it this home? Was it this home? Was it this home? Until I found the home that I lived in. Well, wow. His homes are really well documented. So I have a picture of myself in a past life.
Oh my God.
And I found that through my pendulum.
Wow.
That is so cool.
It's amazing. Absolutely.
I'm fascinated by past lives. If there is one gift, like to me, it's a huge gift because I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah.
You know, what a gift to have an ability to see past lives and be fascinated by them, right?
Oh, I will say that until a few years ago, I was very wishy-washy on reincarnation and past lives. I didn't know. I did not believe in them, but I didn't necessarily believe in them. I just didn't have enough information. And I was told a few years ago something by a medium who I trusted very much and who told me about one of my past lives. And all of a sudden, things that the way I am, some of the things that I've done in my life, some of the quote unquote coincidences, which I realize now were maybe not coincidences throughout my life, they all came flooding to me and everything just seemed to make sense. It clicked like that. And ever since then, once you, I think, open yourself up to it, you can learn so much more about yourself. And since then, I've learned to question some of the other things that I am fascinated with. For example, the Civil War, Gettysburg. When I go to Gettysburg and I walk on that battlefield and I have to ask Dave, every time we're in Gettysburg, twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, I have to drive the battlefield. And
that poor guy.
I know. He goes through a lot. But
I know. I feel bad for him.
I feel like you said, Vicki, like it's hugging me. Like I belong on that battlefield every single time. And I've been to other battlefields and I've never felt that way. Mm. And I truly believe that I had a life somehow connected to the battlefield in Gettysburg. And that wasn't the one I was told about. But because I was told and because things started to make sense to me, it opened me up to understanding maybe other things in my life that I just thought, oh, you know, I'm kind of obsessed with the Gettysburg battlefield, but maybe I'm not. Maybe it really was a past life. So they are fascinating. It is fascinating. Yeah.
Vicki, would you be willing to share a little bit about some of the past lives you found out about me? If you remember them at all?
Well, I remember two.
Yeah.
So one night, when you were having all those headaches, Victoria and I did a session together. Combined.
Digging around in my skull. They were in there.
Where I sent you distance Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
So I have found, I've done this for both Dawn and you, where I've sent you distance Reiki and I was still able to see your past lives. And so at the end of those sessions, we did past life clearing. So we were able to heal those past lives. But the two I remember, and if you remember more, you can speak up. But the two I remember is one where you drowned. Mm. And I actually saw you underwater.
It's my biggest fear in life.
Yeah.
I hate lakes. I hate water because I think it'd be the worst way to possibly die.
Wow.
Just gasping for air, and not being able to.
Mhm. Yeah. And I actually saw it from that vantage point. Like I was underwater, so I knew it. And then the second one that I remember really struck me because I saw it from your vantage point, and what it was the KKK, and you were a black man. And I saw it from your eyes looking out to the sea of white. And that one really struck me that night.
Yeah.
Am I missing another?
No, that was it. I know that there was one, a ship and stuff like that at one point, but those were the two that stuck out to me. And it's weird because, again, there's a weird connection with myself and people of color, which I've never quite understood. And it's actually come to a head a couple of times in the last several months. I know Sandy knows about some of them.
Yeah.
Where as an empath, and see, my talents, not talents, but gifts are different. I will be going along just fine in life and something will hit me out of the blue that I cannot explain. But I'll go from being just fine to absolutely devastated in a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
And then over time, it comes to fruition. I had a situation on Sunday, and I'll share it with you. I was suicidal. It was the first time in my life that I was contemplating it. I had no idea why. Yeah, my life has been kind of messed up because of my health and stuff, but I felt really low. And then later on that night, I got a message from a friend in a different part of the world telling me that he was going to commit suicide.
Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So I was picking up him, and I had no idea that I was doing that. So I still have to learn how to understand when it's somebody else and when it's me.
That was really scary because we type back and forth to each other, but we also voice message each other a lot. And
what she does is she will send me 5 or 6 1-minute messages. So it takes you 6 minutes to listen to what she has to say. It's like, oh my God.
Let's not get off the topic here, Todd. So anyways, so he messages me, and so Todd and I, in all seriousness, are extremely connected to each other. So when he has issues, I have issues, and that happens a lot. And usually I can tell, but when he messaged me on Sunday, I have never heard him sound the way that he sounded. And it immediately put me in a little bit of a state of panic because I knew that wasn't Todd. And Todd is very strong, and it's, he has a lot of strength. But I know that everybody reaches a breaking point. And I was very afraid that he had. And me being in New York and him being in Wisconsin, I can't just go knock on his door and say, "Are you okay?" And it was really rough. And then when he told me about his friend, and he said, "I think that may be a lot of what it was," it made perfect sense.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was very crazy. But it was... That's the empath, but he's a very strong empath, extremely strong empath.
So I want to get back to, because we got one more question here. We're already at an hour, and there's so much more we could dig into, and I almost think we need to do another episode on this.
Yeah, me too.
But Kathy,
but without me.
Oh, you'll be there. It'll just be you. None of us will be with you.
It'll just be you, Vicki.
And now the Vicki Hour. Kathy has a good question. Are there any rules about asking about the future? And I think you touched on the fact, again, the free will thing. Just realize that answer is that answer this moment, but it could be a different answer an hour from now.
Right. Things change. So, right or wrong, I do ask my pendulum all sorts of questions, probably things that most people wouldn't ask, but I was inquiring about our father, you know, when he would be passing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know whether or not my siblings did or not. I wanted to know. Being the power of attorney, if I needed to be prepared, you know, like I'm a Virgo, I want to be prepared. I like to plan. I was asking those questions. But right around the time when my pendulum was saying, you know, maybe here, we had an event happen at the home where we had to remove his cat. And so by removing his cat, that changed the outcome of that answer. So, you know, you always have to be careful with any future event, the things that you're asking, because one little change can change that outcome.
Right.
I'm not saying your pendulum was wrong. It never was wrong. It was right for that point in time.
Right.
But
Right.
now things have changed.
Yep. Makes sense.
So Sarah, what do you think? I saw you had a little pendulum there too, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about your mom? Is she crazy? I mean, even if you take this all the way, is your mom crazy? I mean, let's just open up there.
I don't think she's crazy.
Aww.
Oh, that is so sweet. Did you ever think your daughter would say that about you?
She's very sweet.
Aw,
Of course
that
she
is
says
sweet.
that.
I've never
Yeah,
met your
she's a very
kids. Isn't that
sweet girl.
amazing? I'll just throw that out there.
You never had kids? No, you didn't.
I
Actually,
meet them in
Sarah is my stepdaughter, so she's like my bonus daughter. I have
Oh,
two
that's
from
wonderful.
a previous marriage, and then I married her dad, and so I get to be her mom now too.
That's wonderful.
She's a great mom. So I really want to be clear about that. She is a really great mom. I just get to be the fun mom, really.
It's sort of
I
like
Is
the
she the
fun
fun
aunt.
mom, or is she the nutso mom that goes crazy because somebody left something in the bathroom that shouldn't have been left
Yeah,
there?
No, I
let's
just put it
Let's
away.
dig in.
I only yell at her dad. I don't yell at her.
And let's be clear on this end. I want to see that happen sometime.
Yeah, right.
I want to see the Geraldine come out. Okay.
Oh, Josh could tell some good stories. We'll have to have dinner sometime.
Oh, that's funny.
Ask him about the bathroom towel.
That does sound. That sounds just
It's
like.
a great story. And it doesn't put me in a good light at all, but it's a great story.
That's great.
My mom, rest her soul. I loved her very much, but man, the stuff that would get her going, it didn't take much. And when she got going, you were done. You were just done. You might as well. You know, when you see a dog lay over and kind of wince, that's what you just needed to do in life. And I think at some point, my dad learned that too.
Yeah, I don't go full Hagen often. I mean,
No.
when I was younger, I did. My kids could tell some pretty awful stories. Honestly, you know, freaking out about nothing when I look back on it, right? But so I don't go full Hagen often. But when I do, it's pretty spectacular.
You know what? I think you're right. There needs to be an episode called Going Full Hagen. Well, Vicki, I mean, was it really that bad? Are you still nervous or are you feeling okay now?
I'm feeling a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I would not want to repeat this.
Oh.
I thought you did great. I mean, if you're watching right now and you thought Vicki did a great job, we had people saying that they would love to have you back on. So I'm just telling you right now, you may have started something. If you enjoyed it and would like to see more of Vicki and talk more about pendulums and Reiki, she's got a lot to tell. I would love to have her back on, but somebody's going to have to talk her into it because I'm not sure if she'll.
Oh, come on, Vicki. You can do it. You
can
did so
do
great.
it.
You can do it.
Look.
Let's give a shout out.
You on.
Yeah, let's give a shout out to your Facebook page again. It is Chakra Awakening LLC. And that is where you want to go to check out her new business. She's located here locally, but there's going to be stuff shared on the page that everybody can take part in. And I think that would be wonderful if you went to her Facebook page and liked it and followed it today. So,
Vicki, just a quick question. Can you do long distance sort of Reiki for people too, as well with your business?
Yep. Like I said, I've done that for both Dawn and Todd, and I was able to see their past lives doing distance Reiki. So yeah, I absolutely can.
Great. Very good.
All right. Well, this is where
Very
everybody
good.
gets a last say. You get to say one last thing before we go, and then we're going to take Vicki and Tammy out of here, and then the goofballs will kind of wrap things up. So, anything, Vicki?
Yeah, thank God it's over.
You did great. Tammy, Sarah?
Tammy,
You
what
did
about
great.
you?
Thank you so much, Vicki. I can't wait to use my pendulum. I'm going to ask
I
it
know.
stuff all the time. Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
we need to get together in person more often.
Oh, could we please?
Absolutely.
Somebody line that up, and then I'll say I'll be there, and then maybe I'll show
And
up.
then you
So-
won't.
Well, we're
I'll be
planning
there.
on coming back out
Yeah.
probably in June. So, Vicki, I
Oh,
think.
yay.
We'll wait till June then to
Yeah,
get
so
together,
just wait
Sandy.
till June, everybody. Just wait till I get out there.
Hey, Vicki and Tammy, stand by. We'll be back with you in a second. Vicki, thanks for being
Thank
on.
you guys
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thanks, Vicki.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right. So there you go.
Fantastic. So happy. What a great episode.
Both of
this
my
was.
sisters are much older than me.
Dawn's
don't
going to
know.
drive all the way out there and punch you in the nose.
That's okay. If I got to see her and it
I know.
ended up in some kind of physical abuse, I would be okay with that.
I know. I
So.
know. I'm looking forward to someday getting to meet Dawn. That'll be cool. I can't wait. But what a great show this was. What a great episode.
And a lot of interaction. I think Vicki needs to understand that she'd be very good
Yeah.
as a teacher.
Yeah, I think so too. She's very calm and very clear and concise and gave us a lot of information tonight. I really am glad. And Tammy and Sarah too. The fact that they came on and they had pendulums, it was just a really fun hour.
Yeah, Don, you get that broom going. We'll see you soon. And while you're bringing it up here, you can do some cleaning too, because it's been a couple of weeks for me. So, well, anything
All
that you
right.
want to add? I'm sure this will turn into
This will definitely be an audio cast. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Make sure you join our group, Stay Weirdos, Friends of the Sandy and Toddcast, and like our Facebook page, the Sandy and Toddcast. And a big thanks, as always, to Vicki and Tammy again for joining us. And a big thanks, I just have a really quick shout out to give to a cat rescue local to me, CPV Rescue and Sanctuary in Clinton, New York. Dave and I, every year, we organize a fundraiser for a local VFW to proceeds benefit our veterans, the Herkimer VFW. And we have a Halloween party called the Boo Bash. And this year's Boo Bash is on October 16th. And we always do a cooler of cheers sort of raffle. And CPV Animal Rescue and Sanctuary actually donated the cooler for us this year. So I just
Cool.
wanted to give a really big shout out and thank you to them for donating the cooler to us, because all of the donations, the more donations we get for things, the more proceeds can go to our veterans. And
excellent.
that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
I also really like the addition of somebody else on the panel just to ask and throw in some stuff too.
Isn't it fun to have somebody with us? We're going to do a lot more of that.
Absolutely.
Lots more of that. And we have a special, I'm not going to give out too much information, but we do have a special Halloween type of
that's
fun
right.
episode coming up in October. A lot of fun Halloween stuff in October this year. So
Yep.
it's going to be great. Make sure you stick with us.
See you back next week and check out the podcast on Sunday. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.